Okay, you guys, let's do this. It's going to be so professional. Like, so professional. Here we go. Well, welcome to the Live Support Podcast with your hosts, Michele VanDusen and June Colson, a couple of clean comedians who support each other and others through comedy's wacky and winding roads. I hope you're ready. Get set. Let's go. Since podcasts have a catchy tune, we wrote this song for Michele and June. Clean comedians are best friends too. Oh, it's so good. And you never know what they'll say or do. Here we go, sing with me on Live Support, with Michele who's really short. We'll have a ball, with June who's really tall. They have fun, interviewing comedians on Live Support, with Michele who's really short. Now it's time to start Live Support.
The Live Support Podcast is brought to you by the Hot Breath Comedy Network.
Wow, give yourself a round of applause. Welcome, to the two-time award-winning Live Support Podcast. I'm your host, June Colson, here with Michele, who's lost her mind with one L. Vicious sister, Rhonda Corey's friend, don't call me Shelly, the one and only Michele VanDusen. Michele, you're rocking out some music to the background. And always the screaming goat opens up the episode. Okay, screaming goat. Yes, that's great. You know what's worse than a screaming goat? An evil laugh, Michele. An evil laugh. Okay,
I don't have an evil laugh. I don't have an evil laugh.
I would like to prove you different. I would like to open this episode by talking about what's in my cup. What's in my cup? June, what's in your cup?
What's in your cup, June?
None of your business, Michele. Okay, so in my cup is like business. I'm starting a new food brand called None of Your Business, Michele. Oh my gosh, we're so 80s rocking today. Okay. What is happening, Michele? I've lost all control of you. Give her some music.
Alrighty. Oh, nothing.
Okay, for those listening, not watching, Michele started dancing before there was ever even music. So let me ask you, Michele, what is in your cup? What is in your coffee cup? That is not right. It looks like an earthquake just happened. Reggie, my dog, hit my desk. He's missed me today. Okay.
Oh my gosh. We should probably start over.
No, we are not starting over. This is the real deal. Nope. Nope.
I'm crying. Oh, I'm laughing so hard.
Oh, that's good. That's a good laugh.
So
that's a good laugh. So back to the evil laugh. So in my cup, Michele, is some chicken broth, something my husband and I are on like this meal plan thing. And when you're really trying to get healthy and you're trying to lose weight and you're having to change some habits that aren't so easy, what you need in your corner, Michele, what you need in your corner are friends who love you and support you. Don't you agree?
I don't understand a word you just said. When you need to lose weight, why? Why do you need to lose weight?
Okay. So that was my
beautiful.
That's my desire, is to get healthy. And my husband decides he's going to do this meal plan with me, which is great. It's great when you're doing something you want, but it's my husband.
Support.
And
that's good.
And it's support, but I wanted my friends to be there for me. So I was having a hard time one day. And I sent, so we have the Marco Polo app and we send videos back and forth to each other. And so I send a video about how I am eating the same things and doing under the same plan that my husband is. And I say, ladies, so frustrating. My husband has lost 9 pounds. 9 pounds. We've been doing the diet the same amount of days. I've lost 2. I have only lost 2. I'm sharing that on this that I have paused, right? We're going to skip it. I share that. I may have to play this twice. And Michele, what is your reaction? Michelle. Let's you laugh. Michelle, you laughed in my face, and then we get from Rhonda Corey. Michelle, look at your face. Look at this evil face. Let's just show it. What kind of friend are you?
Fine. Here I am
Shame
for
on you, VanDusen. Maybe I should just dance the weight off.
There you go. Oh my
Little
gosh.
jazzercise. Little jazzercise. So thank you. I wanted our audience to know exactly what kind of friend you are.
I am a great friend.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, who else would do a podcast with you and just remind you this is what you look like?
Yes, my screaming
2 pounds. So you got to be excited over 2 pounds. Don't get upset over the.
There was 2 pounds in that triple chin that you're showing in that picture. There was two. Look at that chin. Look at that
like
triple
3.
chin.
That's like 3. And
Probably.
I know chins.
Probably.
I know chins because I mean, check out my chins. What? Is there even a neck there? There's no neck. No neck. Oh my gosh, you guys! If you
Little Shelly no neck.
If you want to see any of these pictures, you're going to have to watch us on our channel on YouTube. So there you go.
On YouTube. Hey, and I wanted to. Hey, before we move on with this episode, last episode I talked about. I don't know if I gave the name of the shop, but Hot Sauce Works, WEARKS. I talked about that last episode that when I was in Missouri that I went to. But also, Michelle, I got some hot Southern honey. Hot Southern honey. Was that what Ross called you when he first married you? Was hot honey? Were you his hot Southern honey?
You know, I'm from Chicago, right? So, no.
Well, he moved you down south, didn't he?
No, God did. We met here in Oklahoma. So he's actually from, he was born in Colorado, but from Kentucky, from Bardstown.
Michelle, it was just a joke. It was just a joke, Michelle. We don't need a geographical lesson. But, you're the hot honey. Okay, hot honey.
I don't think so. It'd be more
Michelle.
like,
okay.
Oh yeah, too hot. Don't touch. You're right. I was too hot, and his was don't touch. I gave him oven mitts. That's what happened.
Is that what happened?
I'm sorry. There's moments like these that I just need to.
You just need to dance it off. Dance it off, Michelle.
Okay. Here we go. Yeah. So this whole episode, 8 minutes of what happened. So let's just jump right in. A few weeks ago, you won the Right 10 joke of the day. And it was Dad said he didn't need a permit to spread my late mother's ashes where she requested, because that's the least bizarre thing that will happen at Walmart today. Hilarious joke. Lots of fun.
Thanks, Michelle. Listen to me loud.
Well, I'm back.
That's hilarious. Congratulations.
Thank you. Get it together, VanDusen. We are serious podcasters with a serious podcast. Don't get me started.
Talk amongst yourselves.
Don't even get me started. Okay, so why did you recap the joke that we recapped last week? That's a recap of a recap.
Because I think this joke is really good, and I thought that would help us focus. But it's not.
It did not. It did not help us focus.
Here, I'll show this instead.
Okay, well, Michelle wipes the tears from her eyes. We'll, at what we would normally do at the end of the podcast, we have an amazing show that's coming up in Indiana. Michelle with her big smile on the flyer. Man, this is an amazing church, Crossroads Church at Westfield. They put on huge shows. These are big shows, and they're totally free for the people in their community. And we got to do this show together last year. And so again, this year, Michelle,
in the lineup, I have to say you rocked it. This is what I love about you. When you're on stage, it's just so natural. Like some comedians, they have to work at looking like they're just having a natural conversation and not performing or delivering jokes, right? But when you're on stage, it really feels like you've just got a friend who's talking to you. And that's what everyone wants to master. Like that's an area that I have to work on all the time. I know a lot of times I catch myself performing and delivering jokes, but you just come across natural. And I loved watching you at that event last year because it's just such a big room. There are so many people there. And when you came out, it was just people want to know you. They connect with you right away. And that's a little bit of a comedy superpower, I think. Has it always been like that for you?
Hang on.
Yes.
Let me move my cape for a moment.
Yeah.
Superpower. Yes and no. I'm going to go with no first. When I was studying acting, I used to be an actor, where it was all presentation, da 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 da. Oh, look, it was so fake and awful. And then as I studied, then I learned how to make it more natural and it to be a conversation. And when that happened, that was actually it was a very scary moment for me. I had a director, Gary Griffin, and was at College DuPage, and I was stage managing one of his shows downtown Chicago. Well, off Broadway is what I'm going to call it because it wasn't like downtown, but it was really close. And
in the vicinity.
In the vicinity. Anyway, so we were taking a class, and he was the instructor for it, and he so I did a scene with my scene partner. And he's like, okay. And then he stepped in as my scene partner. And it was completely different than when it was with the first one. He goes, okay, what happened? And I was like, I think I was honest. He's like, yeah. And like he made it a real moment versus just two people doing a scene, just talking. It was like, now I'm in, now I'm connected. And he goes, remember that. I'm like, okay. And it was really, really scary because it was just you're 100% vulnerable to the person that's on the stage, next to you, your partner. And so taking that over the years and then applying it to comedy after getting over the butterflies of being on stage for the first time, things like that, then when you become very vulnerable on stage and you're presenting your heart because you've written these things, when you're presenting it, then the moment comes is if they laugh, if they groan, if they're silent, if they boo, if they heckle you, like you have to deal with that. And so it's a I mean, public speaking in itself is one of the greatest fears that people have. But then when you turn it around and then you make it into, now it's comedy that you've written and it's an art form, are people going to reject you on stage immediately? Because you get your feedback immediately. It's not like I created a piece of art and hung it at a gallery and people just go view it and comment about it all they want. Like, I think she used too much blue there. I don't know. Is this hanging upside down? I think it's wrong.
Yeah.
Wow, look at those brush strokes. People comment, but you don't get to see or hear their comments.
Right.
But when you're public speaking or when you're doing comedy or when you're acting, in a theater, you get the feedback right away. And that is usually it's a very vulnerable and scary moment. And so you either embrace it or you don't. And so when I did some of the jokes, I wasn't 100% sure on I would present them and they would fall flat every single time. So if I'm like, okay. And if you don't address that, it's like that was a really big lesson I had to learn too, is if I don't address how they responded with either the next joke or acknowledge, wow, you didn't like that. Okay, moving on. Like if you don't have that one liner or comment to because it's a conversation. Anyway, so no, I have not always been like a conversation on stage.
Yeah.
But now I think I am. So I really appreciate the comment. that
I love that you said
creative.
honest, like to be honest. I haven't heard anybody put it that way, but that gives a whole different perspective. Like, I think maybe when I'm doing things, I might go back and look and critique and go, okay, would I honestly have said it that way? Would I honestly have told the story that way? Is that honestly who I am and how I speak and how I would deliver something? And then I think the other level of honesty, what you were just saying was, reacting to the room. Well, how would I honestly react to a situation where somebody said this, or this? Now, if you're honestly a violent person, then don't do that. Don't do that.
But your comedy will be angry. It'll be angrier because that's your viewpoint. Yeah. And that's what's so neat too, is because when you're doing a different point of view, like that's some of the great comedians will take a situation or a joke, and then they'll give you their perspective. Then they'll give you this person's perspective. Then they'll give you this person's perspective. They give you these other perspectives of, well, if I was the table, what would the table say? Like you have all these different things, and you can't be angry in all those other perspectives. So if you're a bold person here, well, then the perspective of this over on this side, is this going to be a bold character? So it's a very weird and hard thing to, I want to say learn, but it's not learning, it's mastering. Yeah. It's a hard thing to master. And I'm fortunate, I think, because in our household, as I grew up, there was a lot of those moments of craziness and comedy and so we would get together at Christmas time, right? I have a big family. I have a very Italian family, and I don't look or fit the Italian side of the family at all. Not one bit. Nope. Not one bit. Not one bit. And being the youngest of all the cousins, I also I was set aside a lot. Because that's a girl. She's got to be a princess, and I'm like, I'm not a princess. I'm a tomboy. Like they would never, I didn't get my hands dirty in that sense. I had to be set aside. So, so I would perform a lot to get the attention that I wanted in that. But when we would get together for Christmas, my cousin Jimmy, he reminds me of Jim Carrey. Because he had that plastic face, he had those same kind of characters. He was just all around hilarious. My cousin Laura, she is an amazing actress. Like she can act the heck out of anything. I'm just going to put that there. Like if you want a real and a raw and an amazing actress, that's my cousin Laura. Like I don't know why she's not a star, but she's, she had family. And so she did the community theater and the theater, not community, but it's a community theater, but it's not. It's professional theater that she's a part of. But to me, I'm like, she needs to be on Broadway. She needs to be in movies. Like she could be the next Julia Roberts, like in the way I see her. Anyway, so and then having paired my cousins with my brothers and my dad, it's just the very, very funny family. Fun thing, my sister Trisha, she said to me the other day, because she said something that made me laugh hysterically, where I was laughing, crying like I just did a few minutes ago.
Yes, at the beginning of this episode.
Yes. And so she said something and I laughed, and she was like, wow, usually she goes, I laugh the most, and when I'm with you, but this is the first time I've heard you laugh like that. And I thought, wow, it was just such a neat compliment, and observation. And I didn't realize that she laughs the hardest when she's with me, our conversation and things like that. Yeah. But she said something that just cracked me up, and I lost it. I absolutely lost it. So, and it was just one of those side comments, because I was talking about, well, we'll get to this in a minute. We're doing the open mic. We'll get to this in a minute. So anyway,
yes,
let me take a sip of water. Go ahead. Talk
yes,
to
no, I think it's really good. Because a lot of times there is this disconnect that, with the audience when you're on stage, and you grew up with a very active, creative, funny family. And a lot of comedians, that's their backstory. You'll hear that, or they were like me, the middle child, and, you were going for the attention. No, I think that's great. But my takeaway from this is definitely the like being honest on stage, right? Just being honest, because when people feel like you're not being honest or you're not genuine, then it puts up this barrier that people might find your stuff funny, but you're like, they laughed at the stuff, but it just never felt like you connected. And I think when they feel like they're watching someone who's genuine, this is truly who they are, honestly what they do, then people enjoy that. And I think that that's something that I see you more and more on stage. I see you do that. When you come off stage, people aren't like, I wonder if she's really like that, you know?
Well,
because
some of my stories,
because you
they don't really believe them, but they're true. So
right. But you as a human, connecting with you as a human, I think that when you come off stage, people aren't like, oh, that's not really who she is. That's not how she acts. Like, you just present yourself as Michele VanDusen, and a little amplified version of it, but not a whole distorted version of who you are. When I'm just sitting and talking with you and you're making me laugh, it's pretty similar to the lady that I see get on stage and make a whole room full of people laugh, which is really cool. So, hey, so we talked about open mic.
Yeah.
Now, open mics, there's definitely a reputation for open mics. We have talked to comedians now. This is season 3. We have some comedians who are like, if you're not an open mic every 48 seconds, you're not a real comedian. We have some who are selling out huge venues who are like, I never did an open mic.
Open mic.
Never been there.
Yeah.
We know they have a value for sure.
Yeah.
We also know that they can be frustrating. They can also make for great stories and some amazing connections. So I think it's been a while since you were really active in an open mic scene. You've been getting enough work and doing a lot of stuff and work and being able to work your material out in real time. But recently you're like, I'm going to go and check out this open mic scene at a specific club. So tell us how that happened. First, like, how long had it been since you were at an open mic scene?
Okay. So since I know we were talking about open mic, I wanted to wear my Tulsa Comedy Tonight shirt. This is from years ago. We're talking like 18 years ago.
You don't have to tell us that. The checkered collar on there pretty much screams like 1991 maybe. So yes. Yeah, you don't have to tell us it's old. Go ahead, Michele.
This is 2003, just FYI. Or 2004. So Tulsa Comedy Tonight was because we used to have a club here in Tulsa. It was the Tulsa Comedy Club. And it was fantastic. It was an A club. I want to say A, but you know what? Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. It was a club, and all the main people came through. So I'm going to say an A club, and that's where I started my comedy career. Basically, the owner, I was part of something, and the owner, it was like one of those contests, kind of a thing. And he's like, yeah, you need stage time. So he was very kind to me and another friend, Susan Dale. And so after that club closed, Susan wanted to, we needed comedy clubs. There was nothing here in Tulsa back then, like nothing. There was another one that was like the backside, but that was like a tiny little hole in the wall that also did improv dancing or improv. Like it was just an odd, I'm not really sure what that was, but it was the backside. So I did a couple things there. Anyway, so Susan found a restaurant. She started a club called Tulsa Comedy Tonight. And so that is where I emceed for like 3 or 4 months every night, every show. So Thursday through Sunday kind of a thing. No, we did Thursday through Saturdays. And so that's where I honed, my same set over and over and over. And I apologize to anyone that was there listening at that point. I'm sorry. I was starting out. Okay. So,
yes.
Right. And, so I then the LoonyBin opened up here in Tulsa. And so, but before the LoonyBin Tulsa opened up, we would travel to Oklahoma City couple hours down to the LoonyBin, Oklahoma City. And so Susan and I would go down there. We would do the open mics down there. We took classes down there. And then and then they opened up a branch here in Tulsa. And so I started going to the LoonyBin here. And so there've been like clubs on and off, in the Tulsa area, but the LoonyBin has been there for a while. And it like a new manager came or something. And so that like just seemed like the atmosphere just changed. And I decided as a Christian and as a clean comedian, I just couldn't sit through that anymore. And plus, that was the same time that I decided I wasn't going to travel anymore because my kids were little and I needed to spend my nights and, with my children. So I stopped everything except things with my children and working in the school and doing an after school comedy club for kids, things like that. So my whole priority shifted. So I haven't been back in an open mic in years. And then I opened for Jeff Allen at the 2 comedy clubs. And I was like, yeah, I need to get back into this. And I need to, because I have some goals that I have in mind. And I want my set to get better and to get tighter. And it's not going to do that if I just play churches, because I'm not there enough. I'm not getting enough stage time to make it tight. And that's the thing. Like you can only practice the house so much, but you have to have that response from an audience. And so, and granted, doing churches and women's groups and things like that, yes, but it's a different breed altogether.
Yes,
I mean, they're
absolutely.
Yeah. So, anyway, and I'm very, very thankful for the people that I work with and all that. So 3 weeks ago.
Well, but I will say this, so some club comedians might say, oh, well, churches, those are easy and that's an easy crowd and they all laugh and all of that stuff. But I would challenge most any club member or club comic who has never had to work 100% clean in an environment like that, because it's hard work too, just in a different way. It's just different than entertaining a comedy club versus in a church. So both of them take effort, work, and an understanding of the room that you're in and the crowd that you are working for. But let's say this too, though. So even though you haven't been at open mics, it doesn't mean you've just been walking around in your living room with a spoon talking to yourself. You're very active. You're very active with writers groups, virtual writers groups. You're very active with. We've got an amazing friend named Robert G. Lee who teaches comedy writing. He's out of LA. He has had a fantastic comedy career and is one of the best writers that I know. Oh my gosh, and so even though you haven't been inside an open mic, you have been writing and you have been delivering material to a room full of professional, serious comedians who give honest and useful feedback. So it's I just don't want it to appear as if like you've done no work. You did these open mics and then you're like, it's too. And then people said,
surprise, I'm back here. Yeah, no, you're right. You're right. Yeah, you're absolutely right on that. Like there was a club downtown Tulsa, the Comedy Parlor, and I absolutely loved that place. It was set up. One, it was easy to drive to. Like that was a huge thing for me. Okay, Tulsa's really small in that sense of going downtown. It's a tiny place. But because there's so many orange cones everywhere, you never know which road is closed. And because of that, it's frustrating. And I've been here 20 years and it's stinking frustrating. It's still so frustrating as to which street is open. So I try to avoid downtown as best as possible. But the Comedy Parlor, it was easy to get to. It was like 2 roads. Boom, I'm there. And so I did enjoy doing that. And that was kind of my get back to. But that was like 2017, kind of a thing. And
but let's also not dismiss where you were like, I hadn't done the comedy clubs. And then like I opened for Jeff Allen in 2 places. Okay. That's not a shabby way to get back in a club, is to open for Jeff Allen. He's fantastic. He's very well known. He's He's one of the best clean comedians out there.
Oh my
So
gosh,
yeah,
he's amazing.
not
He's
a
amazing.
not a bad dude to just kind of go back to the club and open for. And he's a friend of ours, and so that was
Well,
awesome.
and I asked him for some feedback, and he said, use less words. So I'm like, okay, like that's a big thing. And I have to be honest, I'm pretty sure I missed the light when they had it. And I'm pretty sure I missed it because I don't know, how could you miss the light? You're standing in it, like they shine the light on the floor, like where you are.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking I don't know. Anyway, I'm pretty sure I missed the light. So there's so many things that just bubbled, just big time. So I want to get back to the open mic. I want to get back to hosting and things like that because I enjoy hosting a comedy show. Absolutely, I love doing that. It's fun. And I did my tour last year, and then I've been on the Unknown tour. So I mean, I'm still doing comedy.
Yes.
But I want to get my club chops back. I should say it like
and for
that.
somebody who connects with people and is not afraid of people, you are not afraid of people. You are not afraid of what somebody's going to say. You're not afraid of interacting with people, which is great with a host. Somebody who can just be up there, be a friend, be funny, and be able to highlight the comedians who are coming on and off. Like that's a great skill set. And not everybody's good at that.
No, they're not. And I don't understand why they're not. And it's one of those things like if it comes easy to you, it should be easy for everyone. But it's not.
Right.
And I still haven't figured out why it's not easy for people. It's like your job is to introduce the comics, is to get the people ready to laugh, get them ready for the feature, ready for the headliner. You don't have to be good. Like there's not a lot of pressure on you to be amazing. Oh, that was the funniest comedian. You don't want to be the funniest comedian when you're hosting. You want to be an audience specialist. Brent Reed is an audience interaction specialist. That's what he considers himself now, and he is a master at, I don't want to say picking on people, but picking people.
Yeah, no, he picks some people.
Right. He picks some people, but I'm saying,
yes.
but he's a master at knowing which people to pick. That. He picks on people, not dumping on them. There's a difference. Anyway, so it's because people want to have a good time. Anyway,
well, not to say though that like somebody who's hosting doesn't need to be a good comic. Like you do need to be good, and your comic.
Yes.
Just to clarify, like you need to be funny, but you don't need to try to be the person who's like, I'm going to outshine everybody right now. And because you have a job, you do have a job to do. And sometimes you'll see somebody hosting who is dismissing what they're supposed to do for the show as a whole, because they're just so focused on themselves and highlighting themselves and not doing the job that they're supposed to do. So you don't necessarily have to be slinging your best material that you possibly have and try to make everybody think that you're the best comedian in the universe. Like it's a good spot to be able to play around with people and so I understand what you're saying.
But you don't want to interact too much with the audience, because you also have to know if your headliner is someone that talks to the audience. If they talk to the audience, you don't want to be the one that goes, oh, was it your birthday? Oh, you don't want to do that, because if that's their thing, then you've messed it up for them. Because now the audience has sat through 3 comedians that have done the same thing, and the audience is like, yes, why aren't you listening? So you got to make sure that you want to set up your comedians for success and the audience for success, and the audience. Yeah. And you got to keep the show rolling, so you got to know, like, anyway, there's a lot of little things that go in with that. So I went back to, so Tulsa has just blossomed into this comedy town right now. Like you can get to an open mic any night of the week. So a couple of years ago, Michael Patton took a class, and then he's a businessman at heart, and he's funny. And so he kind of started this ball rolling. I mean, we had the Blue Comedy Whale Festival kind of bringing some stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And the first year they didn't have like a clean open mic. I submitted myself, but whatever. But I haven't done it since, and I probably should, because they've grown, and
Yes.
they're doing some amazing things and bringing some great like they had Carolyn Ray, they had that comedian. They've had some big names come through, which has been really, really good. And then, but Michael, he started finding those bars or those restaurants to say, hey, can we partner here? Can we bring in some comedians? And so he's been popping these little shows that were popping up.
Yeah.
And so much so that people are like, oh, I can copy this, what he's doing. And so now I do believe that Bricktown Comedy Club now has a comedy club here. They're in Oklahoma City, but they're also doing one in Tulsa. I don't know if it's started yet. I think it has, but I'm not 100% sure. I know that somebody decided to do another Tulsa comedy club. So it's weird when I talk about Tulsa Comedy Club. I'm like, wait, no, I actually haven't been to that new one yet.
Yes,
I'm always the old, so I'm like, how do you, anyway, so someone, rebirthed that. And now the towns just outside of Tulsa are also growing. So now there's a theater in Broken Arrow that wants to have clean entertainment, so it's like, it's this little thing, but not all of these are clean. These are,
right.
Yeah. But the one in Broken Arrow, I think is in a theater, and I think they're looking for clean acts. And I know that, I know there's a show place, a theater like in Henrietta, which also wants clean acts, whether that's music or comedy or things like that. So like there's a lot of opportunity here in Tulsa. Like you can, one of the guys the other night, his number didn't get picked to go up last week. And he's like, all right, well, I'm going to stay for Mike, but then I'm going to hit another one. I'm like, you can go to a second one here. He's like, yeah. I'm like, okay. Tulsa has gotten really big. I mean, in that sense, in the comedy terms. So it's a very, very friendly comedy town. Okay. So, the LoonyBin, Tulsa.
Is that where you've been going to the open mic at? Is it the LoonyBin? Okay.
Because there's new owners. So it's under new ownership because last summer, while we were at the CCA, the actual owner died. His wife was still running it. And so they have the Tulsa, the LoonyBin in Tulsa, Wichita. There's one in Little Rock, and they had Oklahoma City. And so I do believe that each of them have been purchased by different people, but they're still keeping the name. And so new owner, and he wants to bring this club back up from where it's been just kind of hanging out, to fun, to bring back fun. Let me just put it that way, to bring back. And so, and he's not just bringing the business up kind of a thing, but he wants to really give and put into the local comedians, which I thought that's amazing, because you're not going to get a lot of comedy club owners that want to invest in their comedians in the
right.
Yeah. And so a lot of local talent, what do they have to do? They have to go to another place out of state, to find another area for themselves. So I love that this new ownership wants to give back to the local comedians. So I was like, oh, new ownership, I'm going to go back. Because I haven't been in any of the open mics in a long time. I'm going to go back. I want to see, I want to be a part of the change, I guess. I don't know if that's the best way to put it. And so I went the first night, and I thought, well, I'll put my name in. And I was like, no, I gotta watch. I want to see what I'm hitting here. So I paid my ticket. I bought my gotta say, the chicken fingers and fries, delish. Okay.
Yes.
Just putting them out there. They're delicious. Okay. So far the food on point. I'm just saying.
Yes.
And the wait staff.
That's important. That's important information.
Yeah. And the wait staff is so good. They're so good. They're friendly. They're nice. I mean, it's a nice, and the manager is wonderful.
Okay. And let's just say it is not always like that at clubs.
No,
it's not always like that at clubs. And I get it. Some people, they've had some bad people they're waiting on and that kind of stuff. But like there's, just recently when I was in Appleton at the club that I was at there, everybody there was fantastic. Like they were wonderful to work with and they took care of their tables and they they were just, there's a skill to that of being able to take care of what people needs without distracting what's going on stage and all of that stuff. Yeah. And so that's awesome. I'd love to hear that. Okay, keep going.
Yeah. Yeah. So already there's like positive stuff happening. I'm like, this is fantastic. And so I went, and sat and I kind of watched how they were rounding up the open micers, and I just wanted to see and observe how. Oh, and here's what's really neat is when I walked in, Ellie, who's the manager, she's like, "Oh, are you going up tonight?" I was like, "Oh, no." Like she recognized me and remembered me from opening for Jeff Allen. And I thought that was really cool. I mean, really, really cool. So I was like, no, I'm just here to watch. So I watched the comedians and I watched, the rest of the show and stuff. And there was a couple of the open micers that I was like, they're really good. I don't like their material, but they're really good. I mean, and like, that's the thing. That's one of the things that's really hard going to a live show, is because I'm sitting where I have to listen to language that I don't enjoy anymore. I don't enjoy listening to it. I don't enjoy being in that environment, but I'm going to do this because I know I need to get back and I need to get better. And what are people saying? What are, like, what's the vibe in the comedy world right now?
Well, and I think a lot of people would be like, oh, it's a Christian and she's being judgy and those kind of things. No, it's not something that that you feel comfortable with. It's not how your heart operates. So it's very just kind of foreign and off-putting. But comedy wise, like, funny is funny.
Yes.
And even like as a clean comedian, you can recognize somebody who's put work in and then somebody who is just phoning it in, who's trying to be shock value. And here's the shocker, folks. It's hard to be the shock comic when there's no line that hasn't been crossed at this point in comedy. So now it's like, that's fine. If you're doing, unclean material, it still has to be funny. Or it loses its shock value. Your audience might ride along with you for a minute, but then after that, they're like, okay, I've seen the parlor trick. You're saying dirty words and you're talking about sex. Okay, we get it, but be funny. Be funny. Right?
Yeah, what's funny about this one? Yeah. The best is, okay, so they have very few rules. It's, no F-bombs. Like, that's a big thing. And, depending on how many open micers they have, it's, between 3 minutes to 5 minutes, just depends on what's happening. And in that sense, and I love, and, you'll get a light if something happens, right? So there's a couple comedians that have been around for a while, but haven't been to open mic in a long time, like myself. And so they're like, oh, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I know I'm not supposed to say that. I'm sorry. Okay. And then, so the person that was lighting them would give them grace and let them continue. But if they did it again, then it was like, get off my stage, So it was really neat to see how the people that are on stage knew, okay, I can't say those words. I have to make sure that I'm supposed to be clean. The open mic people are supposed to be clean, which their definition right now is no F-bombs. So that's a pretty loose thing. Anyway, so I went to the first week and I thought, okay, all right, okay, next week I'll do it. And it's like, I've been doing comedy for a long time. I shouldn't have to convince myself, okay, I can do it, But the second week I went and I was like, I'm gonna watch again. I'm not ready to present anything, I mean, what am I working on kind of a thing. And I'm like, nope, nope, nope. I'm just going to watch. So I watched again and, so it was nice watching again. I'm like, oh, so I was able to give a couple of comedians like, this might be a good, punchline for you or a good tag to that, or, so I was able to help a couple of them, with a couple of things. But I listened to it and listened to the whole show. And again, let's see, then I had the quesadillas. Let me just say on point. Okay.
Michele, back to the food. Back to
on
the
point.
food.
Well, because I want to eat my way through the menu. I want to see what I like, what I don't like. Still very friendly staff. And the comedians, doing a good job, and it was a different host than it was the week before, so I liked how the second host, did what they did. And so I'm taking notes like, okay, all right, if I was to host again, how would I, so I'm watching and I want to learn what the club does. So if I get a chance to host, then I want to be able to make sure that. So
it's such a mental thing, because I mean, you're doing shows where you're doing 45 minutes, an hour worth of material, right? You step on a stage in front of, I would rather stand in front of 1,000 member audience. I'm comfortable there. But when you're in a room with like 10 comics, that's, they're judging you a lot harder than anybody else is, or they're not listening at all because they're thinking about what they're about to say. And so sometimes it's not like, super valuable. It's a very kind of a head game, because you want to present something that looks like you know what you're doing, but also open mics are supposed to be to work out the stuff before you are in front of the big audience. And so it's such a it's a weird dynamic. It's a back and forth of like, I've seen a lot of open mics where the same comedian came in and did the same bit over and over in different locations because it was funny and they wanted to look good in front of the other comics, but they weren't growing in their material. They weren't getting any better. They just didn't want to look bad in front of other comedians. We've seen that. We've seen that recently, where like comics were like, we're doing this mic. Everyone has to do something you haven't done before. And then I'm like, at least 4. I was like, I've seen that. I saw that bit 2 years ago. Like, don't act like that was something new. Only because they were in front of their peers, and that's a lot more difficult than a room full of strangers.
Yeah, and that one, because I'm like, oh, we got to do something new. I brought something new every single time, and I bombed every single time. And so then later on, I'm like, wait, I've seen you do that before. I'm like, come on, people, what happened to this whole new thing we're doing? Yeah, so I bombed every single year. So I'm like, I'm not going to perform there. I'm just not going to do it.
I'm done.
Not going to do it. I'm done.
Okay. So you watched twice. We did. Chicken fingers are amazing. Quesadillas, awesome.
Yes.
Now,
very much.
You go 2 times, watch, and then come back a third, and and then actually do the open mic. I think that anybody who's starting out in comedy, if you're going to an open mic, it is not a bad idea. If you haven't done these before, do that. Do what Michele did. Go and watch and see what the vibe is, and see, especially if you're trying to bounce from one mic to another mic to another. Find the spot that's going to be, the most bang for the buck. If you're hustling, you're driving, you're going in, and especially some mics where you pay to be in there, then check it out first. See what it is so that you're prepared whenever you get there. Okay, so mic number 3, you get to it. And then
yes. So I told Allie, I said, okay, I'll definitely do something the next week. She's like, oh, yeah. So I got there, and I was fortunate. I picked number 1. So I got to be the first one up. So 10 comics were going to go, and we were given 3 minutes. 3 minutes. So I was like, oh, because I was going with the 4 and 5 minute thing in my head. So now I'm like, I have no idea how to edit this. We'll just see what happens, because it's something that I've played with a little bit on some of the stages, but I haven't it's not where I want it yet. So I thought, well, this is definitely still something new that I'm working with. And so I tried it. I tried it, and it was okay. I didn't get to some of the new wording that I wanted, like, because I ran out of time frame kind of a thing. I'm like, okay, so I know I have to tighten it up. And I did it, and I was happy that I did it. And then, so before eating my quesadillas, no, I had chicken nachos that night. Before eating those,
Cool.
which would be a lot of, finger stuff, I went to go wash my hands and stuff, before I sat down. So, out in the lobby, one of the comedians that didn't get on that night, he had to leave. And as he was leaving, he goes, "Oh, you were effing hilarious." And I was like, "Thank you." Like, I
Yeah.
thought that was a big compliment.
Mhm.
And I knew, like, from my perspective, I'm like, I didn't even get to, like, what would
Yeah.
like the best joke of it. Anyway, so that was like, oh, so I was a little disappointed on my part, but I thought that was really neat that I got a compliment
Yeah.
from another comedian, before he left. So I thought that was a really neat, a neat
And
little nod.
comics aren't always like that. They don't always lift each other up. Be that comedian. Be that I mean, don't use that
Yeah.
language, but like
Yeah,
go
he said the
compliment
word.
somebody. Yeah, when somebody's done something and you think it's funny, go tell them that it's
Yeah.
funny, and that's okay. It's okay to tell somebody that their bit was funny.
Yeah. Oh,
You
and
know,
it was so great for me being the first one up, because then I got to listen, to all the other
yeah,
comedians.
yeah.
And there was one fella, who he's very, very new. So, you can tell he's struggling to find where the
Mhm.
joke, or, that kind of thing, where the punch is. And uh so when he was done, like when the whole show was over, he was still there, which I was really happy about. Because
Mhm.
here's the thing too, if you're going to an open mic and they have an actual full show after, stay and watch the feature. Stay and watch the headliner, because you're going to learn things by just watching and observing how
Mhm.
they have the audience flow, how they respond to this,
Yeah.
how, you got to follow and you got to
Mhm.
learn that kind of stuff. Anyway, so I gave that young man how to do his one punch better. And he goes,
Mhm.
"Oh," I'm like, "You're welcome." Like, it was, and even though some of his stuff, wouldn't be language I would ever use, I knew that if he said it this way, it would
Right.
actually be
Yeah.
a joke that would land,
Yeah.
versus just kind of hovering around the joke, So I knew he would
Yeah.
land it with this one. So, and anyway, so hopefully he'll do that next time, and I get to see him do it. And I'll be like, "Yeah, I
Yeah.
helped you with that." So it was really cool. Anyway,
Another thing you said about the open mic with the 3 minutes is like
yeah,
that's another benefit of the open mic is that you don't have 15 minutes to ramble. If
no,
you go up there and you ramble for 2 minutes, well then your time's almost up. Yeah. So it does make you have to edit yourself.
yeah, yeah.
You either edit yourself or you're constantly miserable when you're up there trying to
Yeah.
fit something
And
in 3 minutes.
that's what's really hard for storytellers. Well, I'm not a
Yeah.
stand-up,
Yeah.
comedian. I'm a storyteller. But you can still have jokes in your
In the
story.
story. Yep.
Yeah, and that's what makes it funnier. You just gotta, find them and find the spot. And that was the thing. I was working on my Pocket Mama stuff, and trying to hone
If
that.
you would
So
like to know what a pocket mama is, go back and watch the episode previous to this one, and you'll find out exactly what a pocket mama is. And no, it's not coming to Shark Tank anytime soon. Okay. Okay. Well, what else, Michelle? What else? What else do they need to know?
Okay, so anyway, so this new club, I should say LoonyBin Tulsa. It's not a new club, it's the club. What are we seeing here? You're, you're
Oh, it's just suddenly my light. Sorry,
it's
suddenly my
changed.
light just went crazy on my face. I looked insane. I was
We
trying to
need
like
makeup.
distract the camera and then let it just see me. Okay,
I
sorry.
thought you had
Sorry.
like gnats or
We're
something.
gonna run so long on this episode. Don't worry about my light. Just pretend I'm not
Okay.
here. Keep doing your thing.
But June's so shiny.
I am shiny.
Anyway, so with under new management, uh I the owners are really, really nice. It was really nice. I got to meet them and stuff, and I would say the name, but you know how I mess up all the names. So
Yeah, yeah.
you can go to the Looney Bin Comedy Club, Tulsa. So if you Google that, you'll find all the new information, when open mic is and stuff. But here's the thing, because they would like to have clean comedy, right?
Mhm.
They are doing, I'm going to put this up here. They're having a Clean Cut Sunday show, May 21st, 6 p.m. It's $12. I get to host it. I'm so excited. I am so excited. I get to host
And
this.
look who's on the show. First name listed. Who's that cat?
Adam Bush, who has a dry bar special. Well, it's not released yet, but it will be soon. Peter Bedgood. Peter is he has been in the Tulsa scene for the longest time. He's funny. He's intelligent. He's also an artist, so he does these little the human beings, and so he just does a lot of really good stuff. I get to meet Ashlyn Benson and Lacey Rains, and then there's my name, and then Brent Dio and more. I don't know who else is going to be on the show, so it'll be an opportunity for me to get to meet these comedians. But I am so excited that I get to host it, seriously, because some of the talent here is really, really good, and it's exciting to see. So, Peter has headlined so many things, and Adam's headlined so many things, and I get to learn about these other people soon. So, and I say it like that because even though I've been doing comedy, I haven't been doing comedy in Tulsa, and so this is part of Adam helped pick a lot of the comedians that are on the show. So he has his hand in it. And so I'm really excited that anyway, so Sunday, May 21st, 6 p.m., $12. Be there.
And Adam Bush has been on our podcast. It's actually, I think this season, he was one of our guests.
Yes.
This season. Yeah. So you can go back, check him out, Adam Bush, and his interview on the Laugh Support podcast. So that's coming up very soon, Michelle, not long after this episode airs. Then I believe it'll be the following Sunday after this episode airs.
Yeah, I believe so.
That's super cool. That's super cool. Well, hey, okay. So we've learned that there's delicious food at the Tulsa LoonyBin.
That's right.
That there is absolute value in doing some open mics, and also there's a lot of value in clean comedy too, because it can take you into a lot of locations where comedy that's not clean is not accepted, and so it just opens up doors that would otherwise be closed to somebody. So I love that you're doing that. Again, like I said, not every comedian is like, oh, I want to go stand in front of a bunch of other comedians, because that can be a very intimidating place to be. But you're doing it, VanDusen, you're doing it. So the big question is what's the next food you're going to get off the menu? Do you know?
Oh, I don't know yet. So I had the chicken nachos. I was actually thinking of just doing plain nachos. That's the next step. Just plain ones, just to see if it carries as much oomph and deliciousness that it did with the chicken. So I'm just saying, we'll find out.
For the record, that's my dog on the floor growling because he can hear somebody, not my tummy rumbling. That sounds like my belly growling. So that's craziness. Well, man, thanks for sharing with us your journey. Really fast. So coming up, Oakland Laughs Christian Comedy Showcase. That's May 31st. Doors open at 5:30. Show starts at 6 p.m. It's a whole showcase of Christian comedians from across the country. And so, we want you guys to come. And then Friday, June the 2nd, you can find your favorite Laugh Support hosts together on the show. Yes, we are Popcorn and Punchlines, 8 comedians, one night, sponsored by Crossroads Church at Westfield, held at IMMI Conference Center. So come see us there. That's a free show. It is a free, that is a totally free show. So, all right, my friend, we ready to wrap this one up?
I think we are. I'm just going to run some of these things along the bottom here for us.
Yes. Okay, folks. So, if you're listening to us, you can actually watch us on our YouTube channel, the Laugh Support Podcast YouTube channel. And if you're watching us on YouTube and you want to listen to us again later, well, you can find us on all the major podcast platforms. Make sure that you go and like and follow us on Instagram and on Facebook. And if you have a cheesy mom joke for Michelle to close out our episode with, as much as I don't want to encourage that kind of behavior,
send an email. Yep.
Then send us an email, message us on the podcast or
the
on
Laughs Up
social media
at gmail.com.
Yeah, and you can email us laughsup@gmail.com. You guys know how email and stuff works. You got it. All right, Michelle, as I always close us, Jesus and Junebug loves you. And VanDusen, what's the cheesy mom joke of the day?
Well, since we're getting close to Mother's Day, why is a computer so smart?
We actually just passed Mother's Day, Michelle.
Oh, we did? Well, that's what I'm saying. Why
Yes.
Mother's Day was so close. Mother's Day is so close. That's why.
Yes. Okay. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Why is a computer so smart?
Why?
It listens to its motherboard.
Oh, no.
Well,
Well.
All right, Joe, that's it
that
for
laugh.
this episode.
I love that laugh.
All right, sign us off, Michelle. We gotta go.
We gotta go. I'm just gonna say, see ya. Thanks for listening.